Testing, testing, testing. Blah, 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 blah.
Ready, set, go.
It's time for the Coach Amy and Coach Liz show.
A podcast for endurance athletes by two athletes, two coaches, and a physical therapist.
We are your hosts, Coach Amy
And Coach Liz.
coming to you from Kansas City. I was going to ask you. Okay, before the recording started, we're like, I want to ask you a question. And then I thought of one, and then Liz read my mind. She asked, did you get anything exciting for Christmas? Did you, Liz?
I did.
What did you get?
Oh my gosh, some of my athletes who are just darling human beings adopted, didn't adopt an alpaca for a year. I know.
Get out.
That's so sweet. I know. And his name is Dash. And he follows around and will not leave his pal whose name is Iron Man.
So that's another.
It's another one. So there's two. And you get video updates and you support his development as a little alpaca.
Now, is he local so that you can go visit him?
He's in New Mexico, so I'm gonna get.
You're gonna have to go to New Mexico.
Well, that's what Casey said. It was
I
just
love it.
Adorable. What about you?
Oh my God. Okay, well mine is a little less cute, but I got this turntable for a vinyl records. A turntable. Why are you looking at me?
Because I'm just thinking of you as a DJ right now, and I'm like, what is happening?
No, it's not for DJ.
Like a record
player.
Like a
record
Oh, that's so fun. That is so fun.
So we were visiting my parents in South Carolina, and my dad still has his turntable, and I was looking through his, I love to just open up those albums and smell them. They have a delicious smell. Okay. And, we have original Beatles albums, from the 60s with the sticker with the price on it. Yep. And so I was just oohing and awing and gogging over and listening to his albums. And I open up my presents at Christmas time, and guess what?
Oh, that's so neat.
David is so sweet because he caught on to that. And people are like, what? The listening qualities. And I'm like, I love that little static sound. I miss it.
I've tried to find that on Spotify. To just be able to find the sound of the record.
Right.
On
just put on a record.
Yes.
It's amazing. And it's just I guess a romantic nod to the past. And I want to, that feels good to me. It's like
love
macaroni and cheese.
Yes.
It's like reading an actual book with pages. And, I'm like, how many decades do we have left on? And everyone's like, you're crazy. The listening quality you have to go, I'm sitting there reading my book and I have to get up and turn the album over. How hard is that? I love it. It's the process. It's the touch. It's all the senses. That's what's missing. I don't want to listen to music on my phone anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I will because it's, if I'm on my bike, I'm not going to listen to my vinyl album and get up and turn it. I'm going to listen to the music on my phone. But otherwise, it's been super fun. And I went to, so one of my sons knew that I was getting this record player. And so in New York, there's a vinyl store across from his apartment, and he bought me a Police album. So that's my first album. And then now at the vintage shops, I'm always you always see people over there at the vintage shops, the antique stores, looking through all the albums. And I never, why would I go over there? So then I'm 45 minutes in, I got a Bruce Springsteen, I got a U2 album. I mean, so yeah. So I'm enjoying it.
That is
lot.
So fun.
Yes.
So we got a little record player a couple years ago. Yeah, it was really fun. But I learned that Half Price Books has a record section, and so I know it's just right down the street from you, and so you can
next to Sprouts.
Yes, and so you can go in there, and they just have a whole it's it's not massive or anything, but it's really fun to look through.
Okay, I'm glad you told me that because that's very close to me.
Yeah, it is. I thought it might be you could pop in, and you
Yeah,
never know what treasures you might find.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So this one U2 album I picked up. It's an unofficial U2 album. And I got it on, on sale after Christmas for $29. And I came home and Parker was like, that's rare. And he looked it up and it's worth over $100. I'm not going to sell it. I'm listening to it and I love it. But that's an interesting thing. You never know what you can find.
Very exciting.
All right. So what are we going to talk about today, Liz?
Okay. We are going to talk about cardio versus muscular fitness is what I call it. So it's the idea that there are, we build different types of fitness as athletes. And there is a difference between like your heart and your lung fitness versus your muscular fitness, like how your muscles work. And it confuses athletes because they don't understand that, you know, if you come from a running background, why it doesn't translate better to swimming, or if you come from a bike a run background, it doesn't necessarily translate to the bike, and it creates all sorts of annoyance. Understandably, I mean, I went through that as an athlete myself, and so, you know, and those are two different types of fitness, right? Your cardiovascular fitness is what I'm talking about. With that is like how high your heart rate goes, what your breath rate can tolerate, like it's how your cardiovascular system is working versus how your muscles are working, and like how you know, strong they are, how they can produce power, how long they can go, the muscular endurance. And those are different things. And so with, you know, and so you have those two types of fitness, and then you also have 3 different sports you're dealing with. So you have swim, you have bike, you have run, and each of those have different demands for cardiovascular fitness and for muscular fitness. So you really have a whole lot of different types of fitness that you are trying to build within the sport of triathlon. So, you know, the swim, the biggest thing, the swim is the most obvious when I talk about this, because if you are a very fit biker or you're a very fit runner and you get in the pool, you notice right away, right? It does not matter.
Barely get to the end.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how fit you are as a biker or a runner, right? And it's both. You notice right away in the swim that your breath and your heart rate are insane, and that you really can't control your muscular movements, right? So it puts on display very quickly what I'm talking about, and you know, that's probably the easiest place to see it. And so people, you know, they still get frustrated and they don't understand, and they'll say things like, I'm so out of shape for the swim, but you know, there's nothing else in life you do where you hold your breath, right? And so your body is learning an entirely new breathing pattern. Your heart rate is having to adjust to the fact that you're not breathing you're not getting that oxygen, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so you're not out of shape, right? It's just a different
swim shape.
Is a different cardiovascular demand, right? But this happens also normally. Like, I get more runners coming into triathlon than I do either bikers or swimmers. I think runners are more prevalent, sort of. I mean, it's but I get a lot of run fitness does not necessarily translate to bike fitness, but from a muscular standpoint, but it does from a cardiovascular standpoint. So this is another good place where you can see what I'm talking about, because I will get runners, and because running is naturally so much more demanding on the body, like you go out and you run and it's naturally hard, and what that means, it's just your muscles are naturally just have greater demand placed on them because of what the active running requires. And because of that demand on the muscles, your cardiovascular system develops quite robustly. And what that means is that your lungs and your heart rate are very fit, right? And they're fit because they have developed the ability to meet the muscular demands of that sport, right? Now you take biking, and biking, yes, it has muscular demands, but they are in no way are they naturally, the muscular demands of biking are not naturally as hard as the muscular demands of running. So what that means is that a lot of times you aren't strong enough on the bike to get your heart rate and your heart rate and your breath rate up.
Yes. So I have a personal story about that.
Okay, wait, you're going to hold on, because I'm going to finish explaining this.
Okay.
So what that means is that if you come from a running background and you come to the bike, you sometimes cannot get your heart rate and your breath rate up because your muscles are not strong enough, and you have developed fantastic cardiovascular fitness because you've run a lot, right? So you're running, it's a hard sport, your cardiovascular system develops quite robustly. You come to the bike, and the bike, you just don't have the muscular force and the muscular fitness to get your heart rate and your breath rate up on the bike. So what I see, and the way this translates, is that runners who come into biking will be able, like, their heart rate will stay so low on the bike because they just don't have the type of muscular fitness that the bike demands to get that heart rate up. And so you see a mismatch there. Like they are super fit from running, but their muscles just are not strong enough for the bike to get their heart rate up. So what's your story?
Yeah. So when I was training for my first triathlon with you, I would, in my comments and in my report, I would always say, my legs are what gives out. My legs are what's tiring. This is what's this is where I'm feeling the stop, where I need to stop. But it wasn't ever the heart rate. And that was always, just like you said, really low. But it's like, well, I don't feel that rate of perceived exertion fatigue is low, but the legs were tired. And it was always the legs.
Well, and so that's what you're, like, when you're looking at the sport you're doing, you're trying to figure out which one is your limiter, right?
And that was the limiter.
Right. And so that means, and what she means by that is that like your legs would get tired, but your heart and your lungs were fine, right? And a really good way to flip this for people is that when somebody comes to triathlon who doesn't have a running background, right? Their limiter is almost always the heart and the lungs, not their legs. And so what I mean by that, especially if you're somebody who has suffered through conversations with me about heart rate training and about needing to develop your aerobic base, which is the lower heart rate zones, if you need to develop that and you really don't have a lot of run fitness or perhaps cardiovascular fitness, I want to say if you just don't have run fitness, then when you start to run, your heart rate and your breath rate go up very quickly, and you may be walking, and you may have to walk for months to develop that aerobic fitness so that you're then can start to run. And the point of doing that is that eventually you're able to increase your pace while keeping that heart rate and that breath rate down. And that's what developing aerobic fitness looks like. But when you get somebody like, take a swimmer, for example, and they come into the sport of triathlon, and generally their aerobic fitness or their cardiovascular fitness is quite robust because of swimming. You're swimming, you're holding your breath. Like it's very demanding in that respect from that sort of fitness. But the thing is that running is so incredibly different than swimming in terms of what it demands from the body, that when swimmers start to run, that doesn't always translate. And so they may have cardiovascular fitness, but because the type of muscular demands that running involves, their heart rate and their breath rate may go up.
And it has the other challenge there is that you went from a prone position, meaning, face down, to an upright position where you are battling gravity in terms of circulating your blood.
Well, that's why it's so much harder.
So much harder.
Well, and it's also because, in swimming, you're being supported by water, and then, you go to running and your body is supporting itself and it's lifting it up and then it coming back down at like whatever it is, 7 to 10 times the amount of body weight. And so it just, so for my swimmers, their limiter in that situation when they're going from swimming to running is going to be the muscular fitness and the
cardio in terms of now being presented vertically. So they actually have a double whammy there.
Well, yeah. Anyway, and so when you're looking at like, just because for most of us there are discrepancies when you're looking at the swim, bike, and run in terms of what your limiters are. So like, for example, I came from a swimming background, and then I got into running, and then I got into biking. And my bike, I had the hardest time with the bike, but like eventually I got to a point where I was a strong enough biker, like my biking kind of came along. But at no point have I ever been able to get my heart rate up on the bike the way I can in the swim and the run. Like my legs are they're just never be strong enough. And so generally what you'll see is that unless somebody comes from a trained cycling background, there's going to be differences in what that cardiovascular fitness looks like on the run and the bike. And so, but you start to learn where your limiters are, and then you can address those, but you want to also address your expectations so that when you go in as a runner, you understand that like developing the muscular fitness on the bike is a wildly different exercise than is required for the run. And so it may take years. It took me years to develop the sort of bike fitness that I wanted to have where I could be competitive, right?
Yeah.
But that's different than the cardiovascular fitness. And so you just have to look at those and figure out where's your limiter within each 3 discipline and understand that that's where you need to work and expand, but they don't always translate in the same way.
Yeah. And to not be too frustrated by that feeling.
Well,
and
yeah.
So the take home message here is that, it doesn't necessarily translate, and what's limiting you might be cardio and it might be muscle, and it's just that specific to that sport. Yeah. So now you guys know, and don't panic.
Yeah, you just have to understand what's going on. It helps you understand and design your workouts a little better.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening. And remember,
we are in this together. Until next time.